Get in pretty close here.
This is way too much pressure.
You're the man. If it don't work, it's your job.
There you go. There you go. Block me
I
out.
love, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Let's try this. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more for me. All right. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, I lied. One more. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
That's not what they mean.
All right. Great.
None of the cameras broke, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Close enough. Call this meeting to order. November 4th, the pre-election meeting. Always has a little different edge about it. We'll go for it. Billy and I know, don't we, Billy?
We do.
I got 16, Billy's got 20, 18. Can you count that high, Billy? Okay.
I don't have no fingers and toes.
All right. We had minutes of October 7th and October 29th. Who's ready? Who's got a motion?
I make the motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, raise your hands. Okay. Public session, Mary Moore.
Yes.
Come on up, Mary. You want to talk to us about something? You need to stand right over there, please.
Okay.
Nice to have you here. What's on your mind?
I was wondering, if we could try to get a leash law. We've had, like, through the years, several problems, you know, in my town neighborhood, which is just a block or so
Where do you
away.
live?
Off the north side, right,
Across
you
the
know.
street from me.
That's a problem.
But anyway, we've had several problems, and you know, like I said, their sort of hands are tied with dogs that are running loose, you know, because we don't have a leash law. And then another issue, I was wondering if we could bring back the noise ordinance law.
Well, which person's to be heard, so we're not, you know, you,
I just
right.
was going to tell you how I felt.
Okay. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Dan Williams. Dan?
Couple items tonight.
Dan?
One
Hey, Dan,
item
hold
was-
it. You know, this is my last meeting. You're on a short, if it's not positive, it's gonna be real short.
Well, couple things. One, I've been trying for 20 years to get the pothole filled in on Dogwood Drive. Seemed like I never could get it done, and they paved the street a few feet away twice. Never could get the pothole filled in. I want to thank Warren Cave. You finally got it done. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. 20 years of driving over that big pothole. It was getting old, and I've been trying to get the wood cleaned up in the neighborhood. Maybe one day we'll get that done. I've been trying for a year and a half, and I just, you know, they finally did something about the victims of Penn State. They finally made it right for them guys. And I think new politician coming in, maybe they can make things right to me, what they did to me, the town of Franklin. But at least for the rest of my life, I can tell people what Joe Collins and the town of Franklin, how they screwed me over.
Well, good.
We're gonna miss you, aren't we?
Spell my name right now, get it right, okay? All right. We're about 7:05 here. We got a public hearing. This is a big one. For the amendment to the wireless telecommunications ordinance. Declare the public hearing open. Ask if there's anybody here interested to speak for or against the amendment to the wireless telecommunications ordinance. And while they're sitting here wondering what it is, John, can you give us the summary?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm stunned beyond belief that there aren't multitudes here to speak on this. We're required any time that there is a change in a zoning type of ordinance, which our wireless telecommunications ordinance is, to hold a public hearing first. And so that's the purpose of the hearing. I'm more than happy to launch right into the substance of it whenever the board's ready for it.
Okay, anybody here to speak on behalf of wireless telecommunications ordinance? Being no takers, I'll declare the public hearing closed and back into open session. John, put it before the board.
Mr. Mayor, each of you has an overview sheet in front of you that's just sort of a quick thumbnail sketch rundown of the changes that have come into wireless telecommunications law. First, the sources of that, the federal, primarily federal law that's in sort of passed down by fiat onto the states to be incorporated into their law. It was most recently changed in the Middle Class Tax Relief and Job Creation Act of 2012, which I point out because doesn't that sound like a wireless telecommunications act? It never ceases to amaze me. So what is the same after the changes to the law is that the town still has zoning authority. It's primarily what the existing ordinance that you had was. It is an ordinance that occupies itself with where telecommunications equipment is put up and how it looks and how it affects the people who live around it primarily. You can still regulate that by way of a special use permit process, and you are specifically authorized to do that whether it's a new tower, a substantial modification to a tower, or an eligible facilities request. Now that's part of what's new. An eligible facilities request is one that is not substantial as defined in the statute. We'll get to what's substantial in just a minute. An eligible request, you are not going to be able to do anything. In fact, the law says city may not deny and shall approve an eligible facilities request. And those are entitled to a 45-day shot clock on the decision. That now includes co-location, which in the past primarily meant siting on an existing tower, but now it can mean siting on a water tower, another building, or another kind of structure that can carry that facility. If it's not an eligible facilities request, it is a substantial modification, and that means, well, it's presumed to be a substantial modification if it's 10% or 20 feet higher than it was, or increases the horizontal structure 20 feet or more, or increases the square footage of the equipment compound below by more than 2,500 square feet. And again, that's sort of a ticklish word that is presumed to be that under those circumstances, but it doesn't say what else is substantial. We're going to continue to consider substantial changes in how the thing looks, how it interacts with our community to be a substantial modification, because that's a zoning concern, and we're specifically able to consider zoning in these questions. The other substantial changes that have been incorporated in the ordinance now are that when it's a question of a new tower, we can no longer require information that concerns a specific need for the wireless support structure, including if the service provided is to add additional wireless coverage or additional capacity. You all probably, those words are probably real familiar to you, because it's almost as if they ran to Congress with exactly the case that we had that stalemated that last Verizon application. What the law says is you cannot require that information about the question of whether or not a new tower is needed. That does not apply to other circumstances. It's left in the ordinance that you can still require them to prove the technical need, not to be able to accommodate more carriers on the same wireless pole structure. And some other circumstances where possible, I have left it in there that we're still going to require technical need if it's not specifically disallowed by the statute. And the final place that there's is to go to pay for the expert contractor who helped us last time greatly, I think, understand where we stood. And so it required an upfront payment of $8,500, and they have cut that down to next to nothing. For new towers and substantial modifications, you can now charge based on costs and service provided not to exceed what is usual and customary, but the expert fees have to be fixed in advance, and you know that they're going to fight what those are every step of the way. I have left our fee at $5,000 for a new tower and $2,000 for a substantial modification. I think it's justified. It's what the I think it's what the industry standard was before those changes. So we'll look to defend that when and if it comes up. And finally, the fee for eligible facilities is limited to just $1,000 inclusive of the expert, any expert consultant, if any. I don't think we'll look to use expert consultants in circumstances like something that we can plainly tell is an eligible request. It'll come straight to you from your land use administrator with a certification that this one's good to go, thou shalt pass it. So that's the thumbnail sketch of the changes to the wireless telecommunications facilities ordinance. Thrilling read that it is, and I'm sure you all read every sentence of it.
So what are our options?
Well, it is,
Amend it?
yeah, pretty much, yes, sir. I mean, if you don't, and somebody comes with an application, you'd be obligated to follow the law anyway, so.
I move that we adopt the amendment.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Matt and Tom, Barbara, is this what you want to get into? Okay. Proclamation to raise public awareness regarding violence against women. Let me start here. Zonta says no. November 25th kickoff and 16 days of activism to raise public awareness regarding violence against women. Whereas we as citizens of this community recognize the worldwide problems of violence against women occurs even here in Franklin, North Carolina, and violence against women is traumatic to the body, mind, and spirit and can prevent people from being fully active participants at home and in the world. And after several more of similar whereases, these local people join thousands of others from around the world to assert the right of women and men to be free of violence, that it is a fundamental human right. Now, therefore, I, Joe Collins, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the town of Franklin, do hereby proclaim that on November 25th and during the 16 days of activism, all citizens are urged to support work and end violence against women and to eliminate the detrimental consequences it has on the well-being of our community. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of the town of Franklin this 4th day of November 2013. Does the board authorize me to sign this? So moved. All in favor, raise your hand. Come on up, girls. How many you got?
Just the two of us?
Yeah, come on up.
Okay.
Come around behind me.
Okay.
It's not safe to have it behind me, but
Yeah.
we got
Yes,
cameras.
it is safe. Here, we'll do this. We have little, Grace, I'm not gonna assault you, trust me. We'll take care of the other half when we leave. Let me do some more. Here we go. We have, these are Zonta grape, they're orange. Zonta says no.
Okay.
We'll get one. You're in trouble now, you've got one of us on either side.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I got two of these to sign. All right, girls, we appreciate your work.
Thank you. Do we get to take one with us? Or do we-
Talk to the girl at the end of the table.
The
over there.
end of the table, we'll go this way.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you. Now, where are those bracelets? Yes. I'm color
to coordinate it tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'm going to be into.
Appointment of Chuck Sutton to represent the town of Franklin on North Carolina State Affordable Housing Committee, Town Manager Warden Cave. I can tell you Doc Crawford's already had me try to do this, so we gotta do it. What we got now?
Well, Mr. Mayor, just a little history. The Affordable Housing Group is an organization, nonprofit organization that's been tasked to develop affordable housing and provide technical assistance for community-based and faith-based programs. And of course, Mrs. Crawford has been the representative on that particular committee that meet out of Charlotte. The way this committee actually takes their appointments, an existing member will refer somebody to take their place when they want to step down. The organization tentatively approves those and then asks for a local government to approve those votes. So Ms. Crawford asked for Mr. Sutton to take her place to represent the western end of the state, and they have approved that and now requested the town to do just as you did with Ms. Crawford, is to approve him to be the representative in this area.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
I like the motion.
So we got a motion and a second over here from the west side, I'd say. All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay. Now, Governor's Highway Safety Grant Program, Captain Stephen Attell. I understand he's has to clean up a little something, do you?
Yes, we have a little cleanup. Last month you approved the resolution for 100% grant to front the money that's going to be paid back 100% in the amount of $14,200. That was based off an application response from the Governor's Highway Safety automated over the summer, and I didn't catch the revised version where they changed a couple of the allotments for equipment. My oversight, and I apologize for y'all having to redo this. But the new amount would be $800 more, and it would be $15,000.
Same terms and conditions?
Same terms and conditions, yes, sir.
That's so moved.
Let's see, Mr. Mayor, John, we'll probably have to make a motion to amend their motion from last month, correct?
Yes, sir, but I think, again, if as long as that motion to reconsider has to be from somebody who voted on the winning side, and I think it was passed unanimously.
I knew that.
There was unanimous.
Who got a motion to
I
reconsider?
make a motion to reconsider.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of reconsidering, raise your hand. Okay. Now that's been reconsidered, what would be an appropriate motion to, so what would really be to amend now that we're, since we're not,
Move forward with the grant.
move forward with the grant?
You need to approve the resolution with the dollar amount for the Governor's Highway Safety Program with the dollar amount of $15,000 instead of $14,200.
Bob, you make that motion?
Yes, sir.
Second. Farrell, second. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, Steve,
Thank you.
I'll take my cut when you get it.
Yes, sir.
Update on sewer plant renovation. Warren, keep going.
Mr. Mayor, just as a matter of record, and obviously some of this board will be changing in the next day or two, wanted to update you all on a major project that you undertook back, actually construction started May of 2012. And I'm speaking about the sewer plant renovation and the work that's been done over the sewer plant. Basically, that was a $5.5 million project, give or take a little. $4.4 million of that's revolving loan, and of course you had $1 million grant from the Rural Center. We are basically in the final stages. The substantial and final completion dates were actually the same date. It was 1st of October, and we've actually been going through a punch list over there to make sure that we've got all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. We are down to basically 2 or 3 very, very minor things that the contractor needs to clean up. But essentially that project is finished. The only thing that we have not put online and tested is the digester. We've actually, if you're familiar with the digester is the last place that sludge goes before it actually goes into the processor to go into the landfill. We've actually been doing some maintenance and rebuilt the belt press, which comes after the digester before you get to the landfill. So we were waiting to test the digester till we got some work done on the belt press and get a few little things cleaned up with that. But essentially, that's the last thing we lack to bring that project online. I will also tell you that as of about 10 o'clock this morning, With a few minor changes that we had, we are $541.70.
Basically, with this $5.5 million, what bang do we get for our buck?
It makes you much more efficient in your processing of the waste. Your capacity's not changed a whole lot, but we're able to do much more efficiently with what we have. With that renovation and with the remanufacture of the belt press, I can't remember the exact age of the plant over there, but the belt press has been there 20 some odd years, I think. By rebuilding that with these two expansions, that'll probably get you through another 20 years.
The 1.6, is that the number?
1.6, 1.7.
And we don't raise it above that with this work, but we really couldn't get to 1.6.
No, you really couldn't get there, and like I said, it really makes you more efficient,
Right.
and you're actually, you're not running a 24-hour plant either. You're doing that with a minimum amount of hours per day, so you can always,
We're doing about how much a day now?
8 to 10 hours.
And 1.2, 1.1, somewhere in
Yeah,
there?
your normal capacity is right around 1 million gallons, right there. Daily capacity is about 1 million gallons.
And we have that equalization basin
You do have the EQ basin, which is 1 million gallons up top.
that keeps it all from hitting at one time. So we're all right, aren't we, Bill?
We also,
We leaving the shitter in good shape.
we also, that includes punching that new line into the river, making sure the new pump station's online over at Arthur Drake Road. And we actually installed a bypass system so that before, if you had a problem on out toward Arthur Drake Road, or you had a problem in East Franklin, you couldn't take an alternate route. But with a little bit of creative engineering, if you have a problem in East Franklin, you can reroute the sludge and have it go through Arthur Drake Road and vice versa. So you have some backups built into the system
Redundancy.
to prevent problems.
Good report. Question for Warren.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Now, talk about the town hall property. We're getting 5.5 million for that?
No, sir. We did receive an offer to purchase the old town hall property at 188 West Main Street, I believe it's on the 13th of October, from an individual. The offer is for, and I don't see any reason we need to go in closed session, the offer is $155,000 cash offer. Essentially, at this point, I'll be glad to answer questions about this. You have two options. You can say no and reject the offer. You could accept the offer. If you do accept the offer, you put it into a 10-day set bid process by which anybody else could come in and make an offer 10% of those. Is that correct? And then at the end of that period, you also have to come back in, and it'd be next month, you have to come back in and actually accept any offer, including this one, in the process.
So you wouldn't have to accept any of them at any time?
You could accept this one and essentially put it into the 10-day process, and if you don't get any of the bids, and unfortunately, at the end of the process, then you decide I'm not happy with the 155, you can say, no, we don't want to do it, we changed our mind. Or you can essentially reject it now and move on.
What is that, 20% of the appraised value?
I was gonna say, what's the appraisal on it?
The appraised value of the property, which was done back in May, is $725,000. And that's about a $300,000 drop from what the appraisal was back in '08.
There is a final vote that you have to take to sell that property once it's been through an applicant process. And you're not gonna be bound before that point, but if it's just not in the ballpark, it's just not in the ballpark.
I don't think it's in the ballpark.
I don't think it's in the city where the ballpark's located.
I think I'd just like to make a motion that we're gonna reject it. I'd like to second.
So we got a motion and a second. Now, there's just more discussion. I mean, truthfully, we don't have a huge downside in that. But on the other hand, if you start the bar too low, the bar gets too low when you finish.
Right.
So, Bob?
Or just looking at it from this way, I don't think it'd be fair to the taxpayers to take that.
Oh, gosh, no.
that
No, all the citizens we have here is, that's what you're right. So there's a motion to just reject that offer, and there's a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay. All right, let's go to announcements. Town Hall closing Monday, November 11th, and observe the Veterans Day. On that day, though, there will be a parade at 11 a.m., the Veterans Day Parade. Then the Town Hall will be closed the 28th and 29th of November for Thanksgiving, but on the 29th at 7 o'clock p.m., we're going to have the annual tree lighting ceremony. And then there'll be cookies with Santa, Saturday, November 30th, from 10 until 1. I'm assuming that's somewhere close to Town Hall or here. And then there'll be a reception honoring me and some other outgoing board members yet to be determined. Friday, November 22nd, 2013, from 3 o'clock until 4 o'clock. Now that's down to the bottom of the agenda. We've got plenty of time if anybody's got anything else on their mind.
Mr. Mayor, can I make one more announcement?
Sure.
Winter Wonderland, that's getting on into December. That will be the first 2 weekends in December. It's actually 2 weekends this year instead of 1. We're also going to try something new. We've partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to do a gingerbread house exhibit here, down here, those 2 weekends as well. So that'll be something a little different this year.
Okay, voting will be here tomorrow,
Voting is here tomorrow, 6:30 in the morning until 7:30 in the morning.
and then they'll take the results up to the,
Results will be read at the Board of Elections boardroom on the first floor of the courthouse.
all right. What says the board? It's been fun, hate to run. But there being no further business, we'll
Get a little emotional here. Just get a little emotional.
adjourn.
Yeah, one of these guys has got to be with the people. Are you with the?
I feel like